I will call the February 25th, 2020 meeting of the Christiansburg Town Council to order. We will observe a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Councilman Sam Bishop if he would lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I have one. I would like to consent that the Dadras family be added to the agenda for today, please.
Okay. Comments, questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop. Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks.
Nay.
Councilman Showalter.
Nay.
Councilman Stipes.
Nay.
So what was that vote?
3-3.
3-3.
Yes, sir.
Mayor votes no. Well, we have not added them to the agenda. They do have the right to speak in citizens' comments, but they are allowed 3 minutes. Rezoning request, this is under public hearings. Rezoning request for RWW 36 LLC, applicant property owner, for approximately 1.976 acre property located at the intersection of Roanoke Street and the 460 westbound off-ramp, tax map number 529A-48 to the B3 General Business District. The property was acquired from the Virginia Department of Transportation and does not currently lie within a designated zoning district. The property is undesignated on the future land use map of the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. Is there anyone here to address this issue? If so, please come forward to the podium, your name and address.
Hi, my name is James Wessel. I'm employee of the company of Roger Woody that owns RWW 36 LLC. And I was with him when we made the deal with the state to sell them approximately 4.75 acres and then take back roughly 2 acres from them of frontage. And that was kind of a deal that was worked out between the county and VDOT and us, where VDOT wanted to move the park and ride from next to the grade school, where people were getting off the bus and going to the bathroom in the school. And I think on one occasion they actually had somebody who had a record get off the bus and that sort of thing. So it created a bit of public outcry, and they were looking for a new place to put the park and ride. And they wanted to buy the property outright from Roger, but we really wanted those 2 front out parcels so we'd have something to sell afterwards that would be commercial. And if you look at the Montgomery County IGIS for the 1.97 acre piece, it says it's B3 as far as the county's concerned. And of course, when we did this, we were hoping to have 2 marketable parcels out in front of the park and ride. And that was the impetus for us to enter into an agreement with VDOT and the others. Now, in planning, it actually came up, we're not allowed entries out onto 460 because there's not the spacing and stuff there, and that the entries would actually be inside the parking ride. I went by this evening just before town council meeting, and they put 2 40-foot wide entrance things inside to each one of the parcels, to the one on the right and to the one on the left. There's actually a cement pad and curb where the entrance was actually built by VDOT, which kind of speaks to their intent to have curb cuts and have that be the entrances to the property. I have two drawings from VDOT that actually just show little curves where the entrances actually exist and that sort of thing. So basically, this is something where it was a public and private deal that benefited everyone. And without it being B3, it doesn't benefit us at all. Okay, so we just would ask that the council consider, what was the fair result of this, and what was the, this really helped, particularly Fallen Branch Elementary School and stuff. It really was a super benefit to the community. So we just ask that you'd go along with zoning it B3, and I think everything else down Roanoke Street that fronts on Roanoke Street is also B3. So it's not outside of the purview of the business district. So that's basically all I have. Hope you guys see it my way. Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
You don't have any plans that you can talk about for that?
No, we probably are going to market it. I turned 66 this year. Roger's 11 years older than me from January to August, and then 10 years older. He's just not in the mood for, building restaurants or convenience stores or anything like that. This is a marketable property for somebody who does want to develop a community-based business.
Okay.
So you guys don't plan on doing anything?
Not at this time, But again, when you're looking back at things from 77, it looks different than it does at 50.
Well, I think that I'm very grateful that you guys were able to work something out with VDOT as far as moving the whole thing with the facility, with VDOT and everything for the buses and stuff. My kids go to Fallen Branch, and that was a very big concern to me for years. So for Roger, Woody, and for VDOT to be able to make that happen, I am thankful. I'm more than sure the community is thankful and grateful about that. I know that I had asked for some paperwork the last time. Were you able to provide that information?
Okay, I got Steve Simonis to provide information to the Planning Commission folks, and they said that they thought that was reasonable, and I actually took pictures this evening of the cement curb cuts where the entrances are supposed to be for that. So
I'm all for making a motion to pass this. If it's not tonight, within 2 weeks.
We'll cut.
2 weeks.
We'll cover that in 2 weeks as we
Yeah,
normally do. That's fine.
absolutely. But thank you, sir.
Thank you,
for
Jim.
coming.
Anyone else here to address this issue? Hearing no one, I will close that section of the public hearing. Proposed ordinance amending Chapter 28, Solid Waste and Recycling of the Christiansburg Town Code by adding Article 3, Solid Waste Flow Control, establishing an obligation to obtain a solid waste collection and disposal permit, and the requirement that all garbage, trash, and refuse generated or collected within the town of Christiansburg shall be only delivered to facilities of the Montgomery County Regional Solid Waste Authority. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to address this? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council and staff. My name is Dan Miles. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the Roanoke Valley Resource Authority. We are headquartered at 1020 Hollins Road Northeast in Roanoke. We are the sister authority to the Montgomery Solid Waste Authority, to MRSA. We are here quite simply in support of MRSA's desire to maintain their services that they're providing to their member communities. You can hear a lot in regards to the words of competition, monopoly. You've probably heard that already back and forth a number of times. You'll probably hear it tonight. I'm here to tell you that we're not in competition with the commercial haulers. The reality is we couldn't be in competition because we're not going out buying trucks. We're not out trying to knock on people's doors and get their waste from them. What we are here to do is to provide a service to our member communities. And with that service, we're looking at providing a fair playing field for all the commercial haulers. In fact, I would venture to guess that most of the commercial haulers in this building here tonight are here because of MRSLA, or because of another authority someplace else, or a local government that has started an operation in which it fostered a competitive atmosphere and has allowed the competition to grow and prosper. And now it has grown and prospered to the point where in our service industry, we're providing not only the solid waste disposal, but we're also providing a myriad of other services that aren't quite as attractive from a financial standpoint. We also cover things like recycling. There's not a lot of money in recycling. You don't see people just coming in and opening up a recycling operation for all kinds of recyclables. You might see metal, you might see aluminum, things of that nature, but you don't see a across-the-board spectrum operation that's not operating under a contract. We provide household hazardous waste services. There is not a lot of money in the household hazardous waste service field. We provide all kinds of disposal opportunities and advantages for the citizens and the businesses of the region, and we want to continue providing those services. But what we are looking to prevent is having the more economically attractive portion of our operations, the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, being the solid waste collection, being picked off of those low branches and taken away from the operation that leaves the funding have to be made up by increased fees. And when you start increasing those fees, it's going to drive more waste out of the system. It's a spiraling effect that's going to occur. And so that's what we're advocating against. We're advocating for providing the service to the member communities and giving the opportunity for us to continue providing that competitive atmosphere for all of the commercial haulers. Yes, sir.
Give 1 minute.
I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, sir, you're saying that you feel like you can handle all the different types of waste, while maybe some of these other firms are just trying to get one portion of it. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that's exactly what's happening. The garbage is being collected from mostly the commercial businesses that's being taken away from the system. That's actually what we call good garbage. That's garbage that has a very high density, that you can pack a lot of garbage into trailers and haul long distances. You know, garbage that's that has a low density to it, things like construction demolition debris, that typically you get in a roll-off box, that's a lot harder to transport those long distances. That's not the garbage we're talking about. This is a commodity that can be transported long distance. It's got a lot of monetary value to it. You can internalize the profits, and that's exactly what's happening.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Anyone else to address this? Yes, sir. Well, Steve.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council members. Good to see you all. I've got a prepared statement now. Just going to read to you. I'm sorry. Steve Fidgelkowski, 2557 Mount Pleasant Road, Shawsville, Virginia.
Chairman of the Board of Supervisors.
Currently.
Thank you.
I am here to ask you to pass flow control ordinance. In 1995, the 3 local governments and Virginia Tech formed a solid waste authority, commonly called MERSWA, or I've heard it the other day at Mrs.WA, but either way, you know what I'm saying. Working together has benefited all the members by keeping costs and liability low. This authority has only had a $1.50 per ton increase in 25 years. It is a model of efficiency by reducing, through attrition, the number of people it takes to operate from 26 down to 13, while providing numerous services for our citizens, and is debt-free. The authority oversees the management of the closed landfill to include monitoring of landfill gas and groundwater, leachate pretreatment, and complying with DEQ regulations and inspections. Over the past 25 years, the members, through taxpayer funds, have invested over $10 million in capital and equipment. Also, over $90 million in operational costs. With flow control, we will be able to keep the economies of scale, which has allowed the authority to operate and be responsible to its members. The services that are provided to citizens include brush and clean wood recycling, tire disposal and recycling, metal and appliance disposal and recycling payback program, cardboard recycling, tire disposal and recycling, metal and appliance disposal and recycling payback program, cardboard recycling, book recycling, shredded paper recycling, single stream recycling, which the town uses, and proper disposal of universal waste, electronic waste, and household hazardous waste. Private trash companies do not offer these services as they cost money. We have seen the disposal of cardboard increase at Merswa because private companies cannot make enough money from it due to the dropping price recyclers pay. Without flow control, most of all these services would have to either be eliminated and everything would wind up in a landfill somewhere. The authority also offers recycling and solid waste educational tours to over 6,000 students and citizens each year. This teaches good stewardship practices and ways we can keep our county clean and safe. I would ask you all to consider what you and the other members would lose if flow control is not passed. The services to our citizens, the investment of taxpayer dollars, the future increase in costs, the great safety record that they have, the efficiency of operation, and the security of knowing that Merswa is looking out for its members. That's all I have.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. Anyone else to address this issue?
Oh, please. Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Robert Guidry. I'm President and CEO of Container First Services. And I actually have a residence here in Montgomery County as well at 611 Woodland Drive in Blacksburg. I'm speaking against flow control, and there's a couple reasons. Number one, I came to this town in light to purchase and understand bringing several companies that were here that were all running probably not as efficient as they needed to be to bring those together as one. We in turn invested $14 million in this marketplace. When I say this marketplace, all in Montgomery County. One of those locations being two of the businesses being right here in Christiansburg. In turn, the thought process when we did that was, we came to your town, we sat down, we went through the solid waste plan with Merswa, explained to them exactly what we were going to do, that we were opening a facility that's a MRF facility, which, contradicting to everything you've heard, we do recycle. We're permanent and have to recycle 25% by our permit. Now, whether that's concrete, wood, cardboard, metal, it doesn't matter as long as we reach a 25% plateau under our DEQ permitting. But we are a MRF, and in turn, we bought an existing business who had a permit, as well as a business who had a permit outside of Montgomery County in Radford. We in turn sat down and did a plan with the Department of Environmental Quality that said, hey, what we want to do is go to Christiansburg, we want to apply for a building permit, we want to walk through exactly what they're doing, we want you to address the solid waste plan, which they did, and we said we in turn want to build a brand new state-of-the-art facility in Christiansburg on our existing permit, close the other facility and combine that into one permit. That's exactly what we've done to the letter of the law. And in turn, we invest another $1.5 million in a brand new building that your town council approved and building, and everybody else went through exactly what we were supposed to do. We invest $1.5 million, we go out, and somebody said, well, we want all the good trash. No, I want all the trash. I want all the recycling. I want it all. With that being said, you have an authority that has to go to work. I have to work every day. We need to understand, as we go through this process, understand we have no issue taking the trash that's required. But
to the point we don't pick up trash, you need to go buy trucks then. I've invested in trucks. I've got $40 million invested in this marketplace by the time we're done. Why should I have to do that and everybody else sits back and cherry picks and says, well, we've got an authority and we want to bring that trash in because they don't recycle? That's not true. Let me explain something to you. We're a material recovery facility. That is a recycling facility, not a transfer station like they are. Everybody keeps talking about efficiencies of what they do with recycling. It's real easy. I can back into a pit and dump it into a pit, load it into a tractor trailer, and take it down to Roanoke and have it source separated. And the reason I did that because I bought a bunch of equipment I didn't run efficiently, and in turn I sold it for a third of what it was worth. So I think everybody needs to understand before we just jump into this and we understand that, hey, recycling is this, recycling. Do your homework, understand the facts. In a second, a young lady will speak that has got some facts, and it's pretty interesting. I keep hearing how bad Marshall is going backwards with tons. Well, we got a report, document from the facility the volume winds up in for disposal. They haven't gone backwards. Matter of fact, they're up the last 3 years. So my question is it really that you fear the competition that's coming to town? Or is it more important you're scared you have to work? I don't know which one it is, but it doesn't matter. Free enterprise, last time I checked, is what built this country. And we're working every day. And we've taken a facility, if any of you ever saw the facility at Blue Ridge Recycling over there, and what it looked like in the eyesore it was on this town, all due respect to the Curtis family. We have completely redone that building. We're building a $1.5 million transfer station. I've got brand new trucks in this marketplace. It's not like we came here without a plan. And the thing that really, I guess, agitates me, to be honest with you, is, this was a great plan everybody bought off on, and the town was all in favor of it until all of a sudden this gets started up about flow control. And my question is, what's the issue? You've proven we've been here 2 years. Our volume hasn't changed. You're still getting the same volume. All we're telling you is we are going to go after things that don't have to go to that facility. Why not? It's free enterprise. And they keep talking about price. It doesn't matter. My price has been the same since I got here. My price is going to stay the same since I got here. I have no intention to raise in price. We knew what the market was, and that's what you do. You do market research to understand what the disposal market is in a marketplace. And in turn, we've done that. We know what our capabilities are and where we move this volume to. And is it profitable? Sure. I don't know if anybody goes in business to lose money. We came here to make money. I think we've done it properly. I think we've done it ethically, and more importantly, we've done it by the book at y'all's direction and y'all's involvement from day one. Not y'all particularly, but your building and code people, your building permits, county manager couldn't, or town manager couldn't not been any nicer to us. Guys, this is crazy. You build it, everybody comes and all of a sudden, well, we don't like that, let's change the rules. I don't agree with it, that's my story. Thank you so much.
Can I ask you something real quick?
Sure.
How many people do you employ here in the town of Christiansburg, and what's the number of people that you expect to?
Right now, we have 34 employees, but our goal is to build that to 60 employees because we're doing an acquisition I'm just not allowed to discuss right now that we will move into this facility as well.
Now, what do you say when they contend that you are just taking the good stuff?
That's not true. If I was taking the good stuff, here's a great example. They talk about the good stuff, ask them why they don't want C&D to be part of this. Why aren't they restricting construction demolition debris? Just because the man said, guess what? It's hard to transport it, move it, and pack it. We take it all. Trash, recycling, wood, C&D, concrete, metal. I don't know where anybody keeps coming up with this good stuff.
Well, this is a good discussion. We're talking about everybody wants our trash. What's the revenue that you think that you will be making at this new facility that you're building here in Christiansburg?
Annually?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this facility here is budgeted to do about $1.6 million in EBITDA.
And then do you think that you will be competing with the local trash pickup as far as our normal trash pickup?
Well, we really don't compete because we do Montgomery County's work with our trucks. They made a decision not to any longer do it, so we're doing that work. And then secondly, again, they've got Virginia Tech, they've got all the residents of Blacksburg. I guess what you're telling me is you want me to come here, build a facility, invest in jobs, invest in people, invest in trucks, but hey, the part that's good, the disposal piece, we want that to stay here because we want you to do all the work while we just sit here and you bring it to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I've got a handout here. There we go. Okay, first.
Good evening, Alan Cummins. I live at 235 Citrine Court here in Christiansburg, Virginia. I'm also the executive director of the Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority. I passed out a letter to you, a letter from Barry Helms. He is the town of Christiansburg representative on the Merswa Board of Directors. And Barry, because of some health issues, couldn't make it tonight, but he wanted to make sure you did receive this letter and that you did know that he does totally support the flow control ordinance.
You're speaking on behalf of Barry.
No, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but Barry asked me to make sure you
Okay.
got this letter. Again, I'm the executive director of the Montgomery Regional Solid Waste Authority. Again, as was said earlier, Merswa was formed back in 1995 by town of Christiansburg, Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, and Montgomery County. And over the last 25 years, we've the members have invested about over 11 million, 10, 11 million in capital expenses, over 90 million in operating expenses. And there is a board of directors. They're formed by the member jurisdictions, the 4-member jurisdictions. And over the past 25 years, their main incentive was to keep the fees low and to provide many recycling services and to handle all the waste and all the issues and problems that comes up with trash here in the area. They've been able to provide many services. I know they mentioned all the recycling services that we do. We've been able to keep our fees low through economies of scale. And what economies of scale is, and it's been talked about, is the more tonnage you have, the lower your fees will be, and the more services you can provide. And our economies of scale is 50% of our waste that we handle is member waste, and 50% of the waste we handle is non-member waste. You add those two together, and it adds a very nice, large economies of scale that then allows us to do all the services that we can do that a lot of organizations aren't willing to do. The ordinance does not make Merswa a monopoly. It was mentioned that we don't want construction debris. Well, the ordinance does not govern or cover construction debris, manufacturing waste, recyclables, because the state code doesn't allow it. Really, the state code, which the ordinance is formed from, only really allows you to govern household waste and commercial business waste. So we're not a monopoly by any way. Now, haulers would continue to handle and go out and collect waste like they have the past 25 years. It doesn't change that fact either. And it would allow us to continue to foster fair competition to the local haulers. The facility has been efficient. It's been talked about. We've been effective. We have reduced our costs and our staff by 13 people in the last 14 years. And we haven't reduced any of our services. Actually, we've increased our services in the same time frame. We've raised our tipping fee $1.50 per ton over the last 25 years. And what that tipping fee does is it allows us to manage a closed landfill that brings in no revenue, for one thing, just mostly expenses. It allows us to haul waste to the newer Resource Authority landfill. And of course, it was talked about recycling. We have a lot of recycling services that were mentioned. It's not a recycling, especially at this time, is not a moneymaker. It's actually, you lose money in recycling, but that tipping fee helps offset recycling losses and keeps the recycling services we provide affordable, so we can keep recycling going on in the area. When I was hired 14 years ago. Joe Gorman was the chairman of the board at MERSWA, and he brought up flow control 14 years ago. And he said, Alan, I want you to keep an eye on the economies of scale. We want to provide as many services to this area as we can. And when it looks like your tonnages are starting to decrease, look at flow control. And that's what has happened over the last 3 business cycles. Our commercial, the last 3 business cycles, complete business cycles, our commercial waste volumes have decreased by 6,450 tons. So that was a big indicator of, hey, board, we might need to look at flow control. And that's, again, another indication of why we are looking at flow control. And if you look at the numbers that the New Resource Authority has, those also include direct hauls that don't come to us. They go directly to the landfill. It doesn't impact us at all. So it's counted as Montgomery County waste, but it doesn't come from MERSWA. The tipping fee has been said to be high, but again, we're not just a landfill. We're not just a transfer station. We are a multifaceted facility, and we provide a lot of services to the citizens of Christiansburg and all the other members that other businesses just don't want to do. And cardboard was brought up earlier as one of those. So if we wanted to drop our tipping fee to under $50 a ton, we could do that. We would just become a transfer station, a manage a landfill, and we would get rid of all the recycling services. But that's not what the public has wanted us to do in the past 25 years. That has not been the goal. So without the ordinance, there's a great potential, very big potential for loss of tonnage at MERSWA. And what that would do is, to offset that, fees would have to decrease, and recycling services, many of the recycling services would have to be eliminated. So that's all I have at this time. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any questions for all?
How many people do you have working on the facility?
13.
And do we actually make any money out of the facility? And how much will that be per year?
It's just based on what we have we're a nonprofit organization. We're not a for-profit organization. So we make enough each year to offset capital costs. If we need equipment purchases down the road, that sort of thing. So it's the money we would make goes towards future capital.
So we're actually not making any money, correct?
Correct.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have one. Since both parties are here, I did want to bring out a concern that I had, and I've asked questions to both sides prior to this meeting, but I would like to have it discussed out in the open. And that is, when at any time was CFS given information that there may be flow control?
Public hearings.
When it came to the first public hearing, Craig Meadows notified us that there was going to be a meeting.
Had you already invested in your company in Christiansburg?
Yes, ma'am, we were already building the building.
Okay, so that's a concern.
That was February 2019, and the building wasn't being built.
That's not true, Mr. Cummings. The engineering plan was approved by this town.
I'm not going to get fighting because I'm not pro-business, for one thing. That's what I said for the Montgomery County.
Well, don't say the building wasn't being erected. The building and engineering and approval of the plans had already gone through the town of Christiansburg at that point.
I'm just saying it came up at
We had a public hearing that nobody showed
Can I
up
talk,
for.
sir? In February of 2019.
Okay, so February 2019, and you received your building okay, when was that? Prior or after?
We had received a building permit and approval and all back in February of 18.
Okay.
And we held a public hearing December 17th of 18 at the Aquatic Center specifically for that building. Gay and Neil was there, all my plans were out, all the documents were provided.
Alan, do you feel like that information is accurate?
The letter that we received from the town of Christiansburg said April 2019 when they were officially permitted.
Okay.
Ma'am, there's a letter dated from your office, from Mr. Rainfield, Basically, it's in a package that Ms. Garnes is getting ready to present to you.
This one?
We already have it.
Will we submitted those? Yes, ma'am. Oh, there's any question, what date's on that?
February 5th, 2018.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
I have one. Alan, you said there's great potential in the increase of fees for our residents. And of course, the loss of recycling, which was just started a couple of years ago, which is very popular. So what's great potential?
You know, I wish I had the numbers, I could provide them to you at a work session.
I'd like to get those.
Okay, I can give those to you.
But us not enacting this, there's a huge potential in our residents' trash fees going up and probably the recycling program disappearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I've gotten in trouble for throwing out numbers before.
Any,
Oh, yeah,
I would rather have them exactly.
if you just get that to us.
You betcha.
I appreciate
Will
it.
do.
any other questions from council?
So if this was gonna be passed, it won't take effect for 5 years, correct?
How the ordinance was written was of the date of the signature. I wish Paul Jacobson was here. I'm talking attorney kind of now. Yet the ordinance from a year previous of the ordinance date, whatever they have, especially the commercial residential waste that they have not brought to MRSWA during that year, that total, they could continue to do that for 5 years. It gives them 5 years to kind of wean off of that total. So they can continue to take away the waste. Again, it's just commercial, residential. It doesn't, the ordinance doesn't cover construction debris, manufacturing waste, recyclables, that stuff. I'm just talking, all it does is it helps us keep a portion of the economy of scale that we've had the last 25 years. It doesn't keep all of it.
Thank you. Anything else? I would like to thank everyone that came and spoke, either on behalf or against. Do you have another?
Yes. Yes, I was going to speak as well. And
Okay.
I sent a few slides. Are those? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, after this is fine. Yeah. Should we go this way? Okay, perfect. Okay. Good evening. My name's Ashley Garnes. I reside at 1817 Plank Drive in Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm the general manager at CFS Blue Ridge and have been a permanent resident of this county for 9 years now and was a student at Virginia Tech prior to that. So I'm not going to go through all this since Rob's already spoke. You know who we are, but essentially we have a two-facet part here where we're a hauling company. So we get out there, we pick up the trash from both on a residential standpoint, front load and roll off. And then in turn, we also have a materials recovery facility. Currently, we are at our location, we're permitted to have 40 tons a day. The letter that you see, we're taking 2 permits, combining them into one, and we'll be able to have bring in 300 tons a day. So we're, when you think of the hauling company, those are the folks that are on the ground every single day. We've got our guys out there that are picking up the trash in the snow, in the rain, in the cold. They're providing great customer service to our customers, to your citizens, and to the citizens of this community. And it's not an easy job or a glamorous job by any means, and they do a phenomenal job. So the approval and transparency, just to echo what Rob said, I think there's been a few comments that said we should have done our homework, or gosh, how did we not ask about flow control? Well, we were very transparent. Any business who's getting ready to invest this amount of money into a marketplace is not going to not do your homework and not let everybody know what you're doing, because we're governed by so many entities, from OSHA, DEQ, the town, the county. What all we're doing is everyone wants to be a part of it, or everyone, wants to kind of tell us what we can and cannot do. So in order to assure when you're in the waste industry that you're doing the right thing, like you've got to be very open door, very, let everyone know and be aware of what is going on, your steps, your plan, and what we're going to do, and the opportunities that we're going to bring to this town. And that's what we did. Everyone was very excited. I think we've done a phenomenal job thus far picking up the trash. We have a lot of opportunities. We have the Virginia Tech contract. We have part of the Montgomery County contract. We just signed a modification to extend the Montgomery County contract to roll off as well, because as a municipality, they can't handle the hauling part. So it speaks volumes that we've been able to grow those partnerships, and in turn, anything that's an authority member or has to go to Merciful, we absolutely take it. We run a separate route for a couple of those things just to pick up 3 cans a day. That's not, you're not going to make a ton of money, but it's more important for us to gain that partnership and say, hey, we're here, we're local, we want to make this work, and this is who we are. So anyway, we were very open about everything in the beginning, throughout this entire process, and throughout today. So the investment, again, Rob touched on a lot of these. Over $40 million invested. Just a few of the highlights are, our MRF that's being built right now, upon completion in a few weeks, $1.5 million. Our employees, their salaries over a yearly accumulation are $1.2 million. And then we own and operate currently 20 trucks, and with a waste equipment value of $3.5 million. And we've made that investment right here in this town, right here locally, and we are on the streets every single day.
You made this investment fairly recently.
All the acquisitions took place in 2018, from the span of May to August of 2018. So that's when the companies were acquired, and then we went forward with, we started a brand new front load route from the ground up. So we had no trucks, no boxes, no front load boxes. So we've had to purchase all of that, in addition to hiring, the folks the drivers to drive those trucks, account rep to sell the cans. So, the companies that we acquired did not have front load. That's a new entity and a line of business that we've started, we started picking up our first front load boxes in October of 2018. So these are just some of the, from a hauler standpoint, from a business that has been permitted to, expand our MRF, to grow. These are some of the reasons of why we feel like, the other side of flow control, why we oppose it. A couple of the big ones that I guess both sides have said is about competition. Well, from our standpoint, the way when you're a business owner, or you're a part of a business, or your job is to lead a company, and you're supposed to be creative, you want to see how you can beat your competition out. We've got huge bids for apartment complexes, or the new marketplace that's coming in. A lot of these businesses that, again, are right here in your town, right in your county, in Blacksburg. We want to make sure that, hey, how can we win this? We don't want to drive our prices up. We want to win. I want to pick up every piece of trash in this county if we can, and towns if we can. So what eliminates competition with flow control is now everybody's paying $54.50. So operationally, you can make changes, but you don't have any adjustments within that tipping fee that you're paying to MRSWA. And based on what, as the increase happens year over year, whatever that might be, there is no standard on that or ceiling. Then how does that affect us as haulers? If it goes up too high, are we still going to be able to operate in this marketplace and haul the trash? And that's something too that I encourage you to look at is, what if all the haulers just say, hey, we can't afford to be here anymore because the tipping rate now is $75 a ton, and we don't get any return. And a lot of businesses are figuring out how to do their own trash because we can't charge something that they can afford. And residential trash, absolutely, residents can't afford anything, barely $22 a month, certainly not any more than that, with both our recycling and trash being included in that one rate. So then, is the county prepared to invest millions of dollars into that equipment and go haul it yourself? I would think not, because a lot of what we have seen over the past 18 months is you're getting out of the hauling business because you see the long-term investment that it takes, both with monetary, liability insurance, insurance for employees, compensation, and all that. So it's certainly, there's a lot of pros and cons from our standpoint of as far as a business here, why we oppose flow control. And then just kind of in wrapping it up specifically to CFS Blue Ridge, what does the town of Christiansburg gain? Because we talk about, oh, the rates are going to go up, the rates are going to go up. Well, the rates are going to have to go up for us too, because right now we are at $52 a ton if you bring it to our facility. Well, we're cheaper and we're taking it further up the road because we have worked smart to figure that out. And, a part of our business plan was to come into this market and say, okay, what can we charge that allows us the edge? We want to be, have the upper hand on our competition here in the New River Valley when it comes to hauling companies. And then is this the long-term impact? Again, what if all the haulers say, you know what, it doesn't make sense for us to be here because we can't make any money, and you're in business to make money, whether that's at the end of the day. So long-term, what if in 10, 15, 20 years there's haulers are like, we can't do this? So then as the town and the county, you have to make that investment in the trucks, in the drivers, in the insurance, assuring that you can keep your streets clean and healthy. And public assertion into the private sector is a short-term fix for a long-term problem. So is there ways that, how can we work together to make this work so that we can be here, operate alongside, as well as, you're not like a knee-jerk reaction to, oh gosh, our economies of scale are going to go, because we know that this MRF is going to take some of our tonnage because they're out there busting their butts and hustling and getting to know people and building those partnerships.
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys, are you picking up any of the businesses from the dumpster pickup that the town used to provide for some of our citizens here in the town? Or
yes, when
is,
the town of Christiansburg, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. So the town of Christiansburg did away with their commercial rear load services effective February 1st. And we immediately jumped on that, our territory manager and myself, and from that we have, I would venture to say we've signed probably 75% of those customers, and if we haven't, another hauler has. So, the town saw that there was a need. They weren't making any money, and they were certainly probably losing it, and it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work to sustain and keep up and keep trucks running and on the road and parts. So they realized, hey, we need to go ahead and turn this over. So, yes, ma'am, we've gotten quite a few of those.
Good, thank you. Any other questions? Again, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. My name is Joe Benedetti. I live in Roanoke, and I'm here to speak on behalf of flow control. Personally, I support flow control. I sometimes find it funny that we're sitting here talking a little about trash, and we're talking about MRSWA or Mrs. Watt, however you want to call it. But I kind of sit back and I wonder why, the question why. Hopefully I can share some thoughts and all that. MRSWA was formed about 25 years ago as a nonprofit public service authority and they were operating a landfill in the area. And the landfill was here to provide trash services for a number of the member communities that do so at cost-effective rate. They have kept the landfill price consistent over the past 25 years, increasing by approximately 3% over a 25-year period of time. That's approximately 0.1% increase over a 25-year period of time. And they've also supported a number of vital services to the community. And I know you've heard it all about the closure of the landfill, which is a very expensive proposition, as well as providing things such as recycling and household hazardous waste proper disposal, wood grinding, education programs, et cetera, et cetera. MRSWA also does support local jobs, as you've heard, and so does the private sector. There are really two parts to trash. One, trash is the local collection, which is going to happen no matter what. The local businesses will be serviced either by the public sector and by the private sector, and mostly by the private sector as the private sector picks material up. But the question becomes, where does the trash go to after it's picked up? You've got a public service authority that wants that trash because that trash helps to support a number of services and gives back to the community. That money is here and it's being spent locally. You also have a private company that has a profit motive and wants to go ahead and control that trash also and take that trash out of the area to internalize the profits that they would make by bringing the product, the trash product, to their own landfill. The money then flows out of the area. Ultimately, in my experience, the Public Service Authority is unable to compete and is either forced to raise rates, increase taxes to local member communities to support things like the closure of a landfill, which has to be done, and ultimately collapses and folds. That leaves then the private sector to provide the trash services. And we all know how private equity controls trash services, and then ultimately when they are the monopoly, they're the only place where you can bring trash for disposal, they start to raise the rates. That ultimately does result in an unlevel playing field because they make the money on the final trash disposal. They increase the rates, and the local hauling companies are unable to compete because if they charge the same dollar number for trash services that the local trash company does, but they're making their money on the back end for the trash disposal, the local trash company can't make their money on the front end, and they go out of business. And there again, you wind up with that monopoly that's created, except instead of the money being kept here locally and supporting the local businesses and the local community with things such as recycling efforts, the money then flows into the private sector and it goes into the private equity funds. I encourage you to have flow control, and I hope that you don't let ultimately private equity take control of the trash in the community and force cuts in community services by taking away that source of funding that is needed.
Thank you.
No, sir. So you contend that if the private firms take over, they're going to slowly raise prices on the commodity, and that they're going to be taking this trash out of our area here and making money on that too.
That's correct.
To sum it up.
Yes, that's correct. The local trash here from Montgomery County, I believe it goes to the New River Valley landfill, which is also a local landfill here, with the potential loss of trash. There's the potential for that landfill also to face financial shortfall because of the loss of trash, and to potentially have, again, financial issues also.
So you're from Roanoke? I'm sorry, can you tell me again because you're from Roanoke, what do you have to do with Montgomery County again?
We work with Montgomery County on recycling.
Okay, so you take our recycle right now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Hearing no one, We'll close this public hearing. We will act on both requests in 2 weeks' time. At our next meeting, most likely, we'll try to schedule any other information that you may want to present to us. I'd like to have it within 7 days, so we can have a reasonable time in order to review. And I understand both sides of the cycle, please. This is the consent agenda. We have the approval of minutes from February 11th, 2020, and February 18, 2020, and the monthly bill list.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Got a motion in the second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
6-0, thank you. Introductions and presentations, we have a few today, and that's good. First, Town Manager Randy Wingfield with our first introduction. Get in the microphone there, Randy, so we can hear you.
I'd like to introduce you to Alicia Dawes. She's our new Human Resources Director. She's originally from Floyd and has come to us from Radford University. Give her an opportunity to just say a little bit about herself.
Okay, I wasn't prepared for this one. I worked at Radford University for about 13 years. Saw this opportunity and thought it would be a great opportunity to come here and provide some of my experience with compensation, employment, classification, things like that.
Thank you.
So you brought up the educational letter. You were community college.
Yes.
On to
I attended New York Community College and then got my bachelor's at Western Governors University and then my master's at Radford University.
very good.
And Alicia, you were at the finance committee meeting last
Yes.
night, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're still here, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Well spoken. Welcome aboard.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
We have several out of Public Works. J.W. Bishop.
Evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Joe Bishop from the wastewater treatment plant schedule. I'm here to introduce our new maintenance tech 1 trainee. Brandon Nagy, I'm sorry. It's on the third time, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Anyway, he's our new maintenance technician trainee. He's recently come from New River Community College, training in welding. He likes camping, hiking, fishing, and he's going to like to work for us now. Welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Mike Huseman has a introduction.
Good evening, Mayor, Town Council. Once again, I'm here with a new maintainer. This is William Eanes. William is born and raised in Christiansburg. He lives in Radford. He's been married for 24 years, has 2 kids, and enjoys hunting and fishing in his spare time. He's been a great asset so far. We've had him for a couple of weeks, and really happy to have him.
Where'd you work before?
Third Security LLC.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Welcome.
Yep, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Curtis Goode, what you got for us, brother?
Hey, how you going? I'm Curtis Goode. I am the Traffic Operations Supervisor. I'd like to welcome, this is Corey Smith, who is the new Traffic Operations Trainee. He is a 2016 graduate of Blacksburg High School and a member of the 2016 State Football Champions. His hobbies include fishing, off-roading, and repairing trucks. He previously worked for a pipeline before coming to Public Works. And I would like to personally welcome to our team.
Welcome.
I'm just going to guess that he played tackle. I'm just going to guess that he played offensive tackle.
What'd you play at Blacksburg High School, Corey?
Offensive tackle.
Now, look, most employees don't get out of here without a round of applause. We do appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah, all that. have two more. Jason Price, you got someone here.
Yes.
Very good.
Hello, I'm Jason Price. I'm the stormwater supervisor. And this is Christopher Wright. He's our new stormwater maintenance worker trainee. Chris likes to hunt, fish, and work on cars. We're happy to have him here at the town and on our team.
All right, welcome. Chris. Thank you very much. Guys, I know you're just dying to stay on, but you are excused if you want to leave. We have a presentation to make, one that I'm certainly very, very pleased and honored to do. Chris, would you like to join me up here?
You're doing great.
Okay.
You're doing great.
I'd like to ask Barry and Adrian Bowling if they would join me here at the podium. I'll try to turn this around so to everybody. And since you are Bowling Creative Media, the company's here too, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Barry and Adrian have came to us, and they have volunteered to make 3 public service announcements or videos concerning the Solid Waste Authority. So last meeting, we decided we did pass a resolution, and I would like to read this. Whereas Barry and Adrian Bowling and Bowling Creative Media volunteered their services to the Montgomery County Regional Solid Waste Authority in regards to producing videos promoting recycling efforts by the authority, and whereas Bowling Creative Media produced 3 high-quality videos for Mrs. Mersma, however you want to call it, to provide information on recycling and the educational services. Whereas Barry and Adrian Bowling and Bowling Creative Media have provided this professional service free of charge to Mersma as a service to the community and its member jurisdictions, the town of Christiansburg, the town of Blacksburg, Montgomery County, and Virginia Tech. And whereas Browning Creative Media is an example of a local business going above and beyond their community, and whereas the town of Christiansburg is grateful to Barry and Adrian Bowling and Bowling Creative Media volunteering volunteerism and dedication to this community. Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the town of Christiansburg, Virginia formally recognizes and commends Barry and Adrian Bowling and Bowling Creative Media volunteering to produce Montgomery County Regional Solid Waste Authority videos. Upon a call from the aye or nay by the town council, it was voted 6-0 unanimous to do this. Yeah, I'm going to present this to you. About a video, and I think we were doing this thing, and he said, I got a great idea, Mayor, for you to play an air guitar. Well, I don't know what an air guitar is, so I turned him down. I'm sure it's something, but no offense, I'm a little old for guitars. But
we'll get you on the next round.
Please.
Oh, wow. Well, I would just like to say thank you to Marissa and Town Council for getting us in touch with Teresa, and we've learned a lot from our involvement with Mrs. Waugh and their outreach beyond just recycling. They're going out to Wheels and Wagons. They're going out to Stepping Out. They were at, I believe, Summer Solstice possibly. They also come to our festival downtown, the
Farmers markets and everything.
Wilderness Trail Festival. I forgot our festival. So we're grateful for the opportunity, and we've learned a lot. With that, we've started recycling as well. So it had an effect being put right into it and having to see what that impact is. So it was really eye-opening experience, and we thank you all for the opportunity.
Great.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, they would like a picture up front, center. I'm gonna set this right here. It's the box that it came in.
If I can add to that also, you've donated your services to the rally event too.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're the ones that are going to be documenting the progress and putting a video together of a timeline and making it historic. So they didn't stop at just recycling. They're still going.
So the camera's fired up here.
You want? Yeah. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Scoop's got. You go on, Scoop?
Thank you.
Did you get it? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again.
Appreciate it.
We'll call on you all again.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Town
guys.
Council.
Appreciate it.
We have tonight Director and CEO Terry Smooths to present the New River Community Action Incorporated Program and Activities, and I believe you have a 10-minute presentation.
Yes,
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Thank you for the opportunity tonight. We're presenting our annual report from the last program fiscal year, outlining activities that New River Community Action operates in our community to address conditions of poverty. I want to particularly focus on a couple of programs. I'm Terry Smooths, the CEO, and I also have with me tonight Tanya Wynn. Tanya is our appointment to the NRCA Board of Directors from the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors. So there's two programs that you all have funded in the past, the homeless and housing programs and the To Our House homeless shelter. So the homeless and housing programs are described on page 9 of the annual report that you have. So this set of programs is made up of housing counseling, renter education workshops, rapid rehousing, homeless prevention, and a temporary emergency shelter program for homeless couples and homeless adults with disabled adult children. Funds from the town are used for direct client assistance in homeless prevention and in rapid rehousing. So homeless prevention assists families who are in imminent danger of losing their homes. Rapid rehousing helps those who are literally homeless, meaning they're on the street or in a homeless shelter. In homeless prevention, we can help with temporary rental assistance. With rapid rehousing, we can help with deposits as well as rental assistance. Both programs include connection with one of our housing counselors who helps the client to develop a roadmap to stable housing and self-sufficiency. Our operating funds for these two programs for rapid rehousing and homeless prevention come primarily from the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development and federal community development block grant funds from Radford City and the town of Blacksburg. We typically run out of funds, though, for direct assistance for those rental payments and deposits before the end of the fiscal year. And this is when we access the funds that the town of Christiansburg gives us to help these clients. Our homeless and housing program served 103 Montgomery County households in fiscal year 18-19. Our data does not have the ability to distinguish town residents. However, our homeless and housing programs coordinator, Casey Edmonds, has been working with the town to identify ways that we can specifically note whether the clients are living within or outside of the town limits. So we hope to have those specific numbers for you in the future. NRCA's second request for funds is to support the To Our House thermal night shelter described on page 16 of the annual report. We're now in our 10th season of operating To Our House. It serves single homeless men and women during the winter months in partnership with area churches. Churches provide shelter at their facilities, meals, and fellowship to the To Our House guests. Some churches serve as host sites where the homeless actually stay in the facility overnight, and others serve as support churches providing meals and fellowship to the guests that are staying at the host church. So sometimes haircuts and health checks and maybe even a Super Bowl party or two might be part of the evening's activities. We receive outstanding support from this local faith community here. 9 Christiansburg churches participate as either host sites or as support host churches. The 2R staff at New River Community Action provide case management to help the guests move towards stability and permanent housing. For example, we can link the guests who are ex-offenders to our Virginia Cares program, as described on page 17 of the annual report, to help them find jobs. Since the guests are homeless, they are also eligible for the rapid rehousing program. Of the 58 2R House guests served during the months November of the fall through January recently, 13 have obtained permanent housing and 9 obtained employment, which we are very proud of these statistics and considering the at-risk and challenged population that we're serving. 26 of these 58 guests identified Montgomery County as their last place of residence. Again, our data tracking system is not able to tease out specific town of Christiansburg numbers. 2R House is funded by a small grant from the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, United Way, and other private funds. Oh, by the way, today is the annual 2R House Dining Out for Shelter fundraiser. I'd like to give a shout out to Amelia's Pizza, who is a participant tonight in the 2R House Dining Out for Shelter. Funds allocated to 2R House from the town pay for guest support such as cots, blankets, towels. Sometimes we have to buy prescription, non-opioid prescriptions, and sometimes we're buying bus tickets to move the residents on to permanent housing in another location. So those are the things that your funds pay for that we provide to 2R House. We're very grateful for the generous allocation that you provide to us to our house and for the housing and homeless programs. I'm going to turn it over to Tanya, who has a word or two to say tonight as well.
I just wanted to thank you all for the support that you give us. I've been on the board for almost 3 years now. Once I started my position with Montgomery County, that was one of my first appointments. And so just to see the work that the agency provides within our community, our numbers for Montgomery County for fiscal year 19, we helped 2,629 clients in our community. And just the ongoing support that we get from our community, from just the programs that Terry spoke of that you all support, is just a tremendous just appreciation that we have for you and definitely for our clients that we're serving.
Any questions?
I'm not sure if I'm reading this right, but I'm sort of surprised that United Way is not giving you more.
I wish they could. You know, United Way, our local United Way, supports a lot of agencies. They provide funding for 2R House. They actually give some money to the Housing and Homeless program, money to CHIP, which is another one of our programs.
So they're doing it in different directions.
They provide funding to us rather than one lump sum to New River Community Action to a lot of our programs. They sure do.
But how many churches are you working with right here in Christiansburg? Do you have a number?
9.
9.
For 2R House, 9.
That's really cool.
They're either support sites or facilities where the homeless are staying.
Is that program the same program that you guys have with the boxes with meals and things like that outside the facilities as well, or is that completely different from you guys?
So that program, I think you're speaking about the food pantry?
Yes.
Okay, so that program, we partner, New River Community Action partners with McKeep, the Montgomery County Emergency Assistance Program. They're our emergency assistance partner. And that food pantry is located in our facility, but it's run by McKeep, and the staff who administer it are New River Community Action staff. So it's a partnership that we have.
So that is a great partnership, but the one I'm talking about is the one where some churches have the boxes outside during the winter time, outside their church facilities.
Oh, that is not our, that's not our program.
Guys. Okay.
Yeah, that's not our project.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good
That's
project
really
though,
cool.
but that's not one that we're in charge of.
Well, you guys have a lot in your hands too, so that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? Ladies, thank you very much.
And
We appreciate it.
Thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
A well-timed presentation.
Yes, very well taken.
Thank you.
This is our citizens' comment section where we allow citizens to make comments about any items of concern, but also any items that are appearing on the agenda to be discussed later on, other than anything that has been discussed in public hearing. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Joni Doddress, and I live at 450 Peppers Ferry Road, Northwest, here in Christiansburg. I'm here because I just want to raise awareness of my family's situation regarding the park. This is currently this is where we've typically accessed our road, well, to get to our house, where people have accessed this way for 150 years to get to my house, because I live in a 150-year-old historic home, and this is Old Peppers Ferry Road, and that's how everybody's gotten there forever. I brought another slide, a diagram that kind of gives a better visual. My property adjoins the new park, and we were thrilled with this. We've championed the initiative from the get-go. We were so excited, and really, really looking forward to everything it's going to bring to the community. What we found out within the last year, because we've been in dialogue with the town manager and the planning committee over the past year about the access to her house, because what we have found out in the most recently is the plan is, and should I wait for the diagram or keep talking? Is this long road, abandoned road that leads to our home, and what the property owners on the other side of the road have access to the properties. That's what we've been led to believe. That's what everybody's led to believe for the last 150 years. So anyway, we've since found out that part of the plan is that's no longer going to be the case. The road is going to stop. It's going to be blocked right before you get to the curve to my house. So the problem has been over the last 8 months, I suppose, is how do we get to our property, because we are virtually landlocked. And I'm going to get emotional because it's very emotional. The options that we've been presented are, first, they were going to take property from the back, from our neighbors, and they didn't want to do that. So, okay. Next, we were offered the opportunity to go through the shopping center's parking lot in front of us, which we're going to go through a parking lot to get to my house. I mean, how is that going to devalue your property? We've lived in there 25 years with the intention, this is our retirement nest egg. This is our future. This is my children's inheritance. And most recently, it's my understanding, we haven't discussed it, this is the road. You can see it's long. It was suggested that, I think, this is the way I see it, is that New River Tire and Battery is right in front of my house, and so they're gonna, to the right of that, fix us a 15-foot gravel entrance to get to the road that we currently use, off of 114, the busiest street in all of Montgomery County, a non-visible access that we feel is going to be dangerous. There's not going to be any left turn. What happens when it snows? How are you going to see it? You know, that kind of thing. We don't think it's safe. So my concern is, what would make us happy in a perfect world is, first of all, for us to have a safe, permanent entrance to our property that does not devalue it. And perhaps would allow for some future growth. Our property is zoned residential 3, but as it stands, we're stymied, and this is not the slide I brought, unfortunately. The one I brought is, I had said to Andrew, looks like this, and this is Peppers Ferry Road, the one that everybody uses. This is 114, and this is the old driveway we're looking at. My property is right here and joins the lot. If I show you this, can you get it? You can't get this up there right now. Okay, so we have almost 2 acres of land in the most desirable residential area in the town that we virtually can't do anything with, and it's going to be devalued significantly because of what's happening. We've been there 25 years. We just want our voice to be heard. We feel like my one question would be, I'd ask Faulkner, when you were given task to develop a plan for this park, were we ever mentioned going in, our access to our property? We feel like an afterthought. They're trying, I mean, it's 60 acres. Can't something be done to guarantee us a permanent access to our property? Is that too much to ask? So I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Okay. Randy, have you had some dialogue and are you on this thing?
They currently have access through what was basically had served as the 114 corridor decades ago. That road was abandoned by VDOT in the 1940s. When they abandoned it, they did basically landlock that piece of property, and they did not dedicate an access easement to it when it was abandoned. So they essentially landlocked it, with the only access being through the tire store property. That's a gravel road right now. To be honest, it's in pretty poor shape. That's probably kind of the better portion looking at the road if you drive it.
I have to, may I intervene? When we purchased our property, and for 150 years, it's been represented that the people that live on either side of this road have permanent access. And so, yes, it's recently been discovered, this easement issue. But that's a new development. I mean, do we not have some kind of grandfathered rights? The people that have lived in this house for 150 years? It's been represented in that case, and we just feel victimized, completely victimized.
What the town would actually want to do is, like I say, they don't have a dedicated easement. I do recognize that they have a prescribed easement, basically prescribed by use. If you have used it for over 20 years, which they certainly have, you have a right to continue the use. So I don't question that they have a right to the use as a prescribed easement. But what the town would like to do is relocate the easement and actually build it for them, I think probably better than what's built there, and dedicate a formal easement in a different location. That way they'd have a dedicated formal access. And we would want to try to come off of Pepper's Ferry Road if possible.
So this is all...
And I have been talking to their attorneys also.
We recently got a lawyer because we felt like we had to. What else can we do? I mean, what else can we do? And our lawyer is the one that found the easement issue, not theirs.
An appointment with their attorney yesterday and he canceled it, but we're trying to reschedule.
Because they felt like it was important to get this information in front of you guys.
The simplest thing would be just to leave that little spur road open.
Exactly.
It's right, literally right at the intersection of that signal, and VDOT wouldn't allow that. That'd be a dangerous situation, having basically a private driveway come right into an intersection of a signal.
One of the options we offered from the get-go was with the 60 acres, they're going to put commercial property right here. They're going to make 2 commercial lots. I'm not exactly sure where because it's changed multiple times. But wherever that commercial lot is, dedicate us entrance and an entrance and an exit. What's wrong with that? I mean, it's only fair. We've been there. We paid taxes 25 years. We've been gravel on this road for 25 years because nobody else would. It's not now because for the last year we have not invested any funds in it. We don't know what to do. But we are the ones that have maintained it for our own personal use.
Okay.
I mean, we plan to retire there, live there for the rest of our lives.
And we hope that you will. I think that I appreciate this coming to light. I was not totally aware of it. I wasn't sure the names and addresses, but I knew there could be some issues. Randy, do you feel this is an item that between you and Reed and our people and her attorney, that we can work this thing out?
Can I say one more thing? We were personal friends and neighbors of Truman Wilson for many years. And he would be devastated to know that this was happening to us. And I feel like that if the town owns this property now, you guys have the abilities to give us an easement. I mean, and that's only fair. You guys were given this probably an excellent deal with a man of very good faith, friend of mine. And I think that's what he would want, and I think that's fair. And that's all we're asking for.
Well, I'm satisfied at this point that Mr. Wingfield and the attorneys involved and you will be able to work something out to your satisfaction.
Can I bring one up? The last offer was a 15-foot gravel road off of Pepper's Ferry. Is that safe? You can't make a left turn. In the winter, if it snows, who can even see it? This is the busiest road in Montgomery County, a 15-foot gravel road. Who's going to be expecting somebody to make a right turn on it? It's not, we don't think it's safe.
I'd like to speak up here for just a second, and then I only speak for myself, and I appreciate your situation, but I feel like if you've spoken to an attorney, anything we say right now, we shouldn't.
Pretty much.
It's between your attorney, our attorney, and our town manager, not council right now. I'm sorry.
At least you're aware now, and I appreciate your
Well, thank you very much.
We thank you for coming.
Anyone else? If no one, I will close the citizens' comments. Committee reports from Mr. Bishop and Mr. Sachs, Mrs. Sachs. Central Business District Committee, presentation and approval of recommended Public Arts Advisory Board candidates.
Yes, Mayor. During our last meeting, Central Business presented 5 candidates to be appointed to the Public Advisory Board, and council requested information on the candidates, and I think they have received that information for our bios.
I believe it was in some handouts.
Yes, I think we received it before then. I think we received it last week or so. But at this time, based on the information that we, Central Business, feel that the candidates we request are good people and good fit, I make a motion that the candidates be approved.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Questions?
I do have a discussion. I would love to see, this arts committee sounds like it's gonna be a great thing for our town. I'm excited that we got so many applications in. I hope that we can work with the other people that apply for this position, and I'm just grateful of the ones that got the job also. But I also want to make a comment or statement about this. I personally don't feel that we should have a paying position person that makes over 6 figures on this committee, Andrew Warren, to be with Marissa Sachs during the arts committee. So if they have any questions or the arts committee want to bring something to Central Business, I think that that would be the right time to bring any comments or anything that they want to discuss to the Central Business, not provide 2 town people that we're paying for to be going to these committees.
I'd like to put on a record of rebuttal to that. Every committee that I am a part of, I have high regard for the advice that's given to me from Andrew or Randy, and many times they know the history of the town, and we could easily go down an avenue and make progress and try to work towards something that if we talked to them about it, we'd realize wasn't even possible. So I find it very valuable to have one staff member at every committee meeting. Thank you.
And I sort of feel the same way, and I think it's good that our 2 manager and assistant manager know what's going on in the town, they know the background, and when after the meeting is over, they will still be there around in case somebody has any questions a couple of days later, something like that. So I would like to just continue to have one of them on that committee.
Any other comments?
One last comment. I brought up at the last meeting the selection process and the number of people that applied, and was there any reconsideration of the format, I guess, of the meetings? And I do think we had a lot of people interested in it, and obviously there was a line drawn, and I hope that the meeting format is such that other interested people, citizens, can attend and participate. Is that
Yes.
part of the, is that part of this decision
is.
and recommendation?
Each applicant that was not chosen, we had excellent
I
applications.
understand.
And it was not an easy decision, but everyone was called by Andrew and asked to still participate.
Okay.
Even though that they were not picked for the committee,
Very good.
we still welcome the
Thank
participation.
you very much. And the last comment is, having been sort of an old dog on council and served on probably most every committee at some point, the committees would actually be quite ineffective without a staff participation, guidance, history, and actually action. And so I think that we should continue to do what we've always done, and that is each of our working committees, the time that citizens are investing in this is multiplied with the staff guidance. So I would just say that we continue doing what we've always done on these committees. It's council's decision to make this committee, and we need to support it with staff.
Any other comments?
All I was just saying was Central Committee and Arts Committee should be working together. So eventually you do have somebody, actually, you do have representation. in
Basically,
Central
they have
Business.
separate meetings from what I understand, and then bring things back through them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilwoman Hicks?
Nay.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That is 5-1, thank you. Discussion by mayor and council.
We have a committee report from
Oh.
the Finance Committee.
Do I? Okay, I didn't see it on there.
Well, does it have to be, am I allowed to give a?
Oh.
We had a Finance Committee
Yeah.
meeting yesterday, and I want to bring to council's attention that Mr. Wingfield will probably go over this, but we are starting the budget process, and the first order of business is a budget amendment, a third budget amendment this year, and it is very significant. And after reviewing it yesterday in the Finance Committee, we need to discuss this as a council, and we're actually going to have a work session next Tuesday on this. It's a very large request, and the council or the Finance Committee immediately said this is bigger than the Finance Committee. This needs a full council input. And I will prepare you. I'm going to first of all request that Mr. Wingfield provide to each council member the information that we received yesterday, a complete package with the information from the Finance Committee meeting. And one of the requests is for a transition from a permanent part-time position to a full-time position in support of the special events in the farmers market. And the first order of business, I will advise every council member, the work session next week will begin with a question of, should we continue with the farmers market? I'll just put that out there for you. It's that plain and simple. It'll make more sense next week, but I'm going to ask each of you to give that some thought, do some homework. I've done some homework since yesterday and talked to some people that's helping me to formulate my position on that. And but I want to bring that to your attention, and there's a significant compensation recommendation being made that's more than 3 times what our compensation study ended with 2 years ago or last year.
What Brad's referring to is separate from the formula.
It's separate, but it's part of the budget amendment.
It's a comp salary amendment.
Yes, it's very, so I just want to, it's a Finance Committee report, but because time is of the essence, we need to address this as a full council. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Very good, Madam Clerk. Oh, we didn't take any motion. Very good. We have a Comcast franchise agreement, public hearing was held February 11th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Comcast franchise agreement.
I second that.
Got a motion and a second. Discussions? Thank you. Madam Clerk, now.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
6-0. MMI Atlantic franchise agreement, that is public hearing was held February the 11th. That is the company coming in and doing some cable within our right-of-way.
It's basically a pass-through fiber project that would go through basically 460 Business, North Franklin Street to Depot Street, then down West Main Street towards Floyd. We receive $1.25 per linear foot as long as the line is in the ground. They're also dedicating 12 strands of fiber and a microduct to the town, which is basically the VDOT standard, and they're also basically placing handholds for us to access the fiber in locations of our choosing.
Does this help us in any way, shape, or form in our request for broadband?
Hopefully it can. We can lease that fiber if we wanted to, if we can find a suitor for it, or we can use it for our own purposes, to connect town facilities, to connect signal lights, things like that, which is kind of part of the reason I think VDOT's requiring it.
Okay.
Is it going to affect our project that's wrapping up this summer in North Franklin?
The signal project?
No, not the signal. Well, yeah, I'm sorry.
VDOT, but
The corridor project.
The North Franklin corridor. It shouldn't impact that.
Right.
Mayor, can I go back to Comcast for just a minute?
No, it's already been a vote. It's done. Okay.
Is there a motion out there? I'll make a motion that we approve the franchise agreement for MMI Atlantic.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
Very good. We have a memorandum of understanding between the Virginia National Guard and the Christiansburg Police Department. Chief Sisson, would you like to grab that one?
So you have the MOU in your agenda package. That has been reviewed by our attorneys and is ready for my signature upon your approval. Just to give you a little background, we've been a member of the DEA Federal Drug Task Force in Roanoke for more than 11 years. The DEA approached us in conjunction with the National Guard, and their vision is to put a data analyst in the New River Valley. Because of the relationship that we have had with them, a very successful relationship, they had approached us first about housing that analyst within the Christiansburg Police Department. We would not pay anything for the analyst. We would be required by MOU to house the individual and provide a workstation for them. As an individual who has worked narcotics in this region for many years, what you have with a data analysis person is just something that we don't have the capability. Drug cases are getting so complex, even in our region, that a data analyst can take a lot of the social media, cell phone transmissions, and put some of that together in packages for us for prosecution. We're currently working on a large-scale narcotics case that's going to span this entire county and outside of this county, and I can't tell you how much easier it would have been for us if we had an analyst on site. For me, it's absolutely a win-win for our organization and every other law enforcement organization in Montgomery County, because we all work narcotics cases together. And, we won't hoard them up. I mean, we're going to share this analyst with our local partners, and I just think it's an unbelievable opportunity for us to get some resources in this region. And it'll be a 6-month trial. We'll run it for 6 months upon your approval. After 6 months, we will review the status, see if it's productive for us, see if it's productive for them, and to see if there's additional federal monies to continue with the program into the federal budget next fiscal year.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So the National Guard is used for state emergency, not law enforcement. Now, are they just to help us with the drug enforcement, or are they also going to help with if there was anything to do with gun control as well?
Not gun control. That MOU is specifically counter-drug operations, and they do a lot of things. I mean, they have capability to do cell phone downloads for us, which is a hot commodity in the market that we work in today. Social media, cell phones, they're a mystery. I mean, we have some staff in-house that have some capabilities, but not to the capabilities of these individuals that would be housed with us from the National Guard. Their technology is just so much better than what we have.
So is that a big difference from what we already have? We already have a drug task force between USP, Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, Christiansburg, the Floyd Radford, MCSO, and the new Revere Regional Drug Force. Is that additional?
We don't have a drug task force anymore. That drug task force folded almost a year ago.
And do you know why?
It's hard to keep a multi-jurisdictional drug task force running when it's run by state police. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, just the logistics of that become difficult. And the local agencies went to their own in-house narcotics, and that's what we do, Blacksburg, Montgomery County, and Virginia Tech now. So we work together more now than we ever have, including when there was a state drug task force in the region. So we do have a member on the DEA drug task force in our
When you say you talked to a lawyer, was it Sands Anderson or somebody else? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sissa, what are the costs of the town to do this?
The only costs to the town are stipulation under MOUs that we need to provide them a workstation with a computer, and that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. And your recommendation is we do this?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Do you have a motion?
So I'll make a, go ahead. No, go ahead.
You're up.
I second it.
Motion by Mr. Showalter, and second by Ms. Hicks. Any further discussion? I think this is very worthwhile. The chief briefed me on it this morning.
Can I just say it, make a motion for the memorandum of understanding for the counter-drug operations between the Virginia National Guard and the Christiansburg Police Department.
That's a second. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
6-0. Very good. I looked up and just realized I had not recognized Jamie Bond, our school board representative here. Are you just visiting, or?
Exciting night.
We talked a little trash today, didn't we? Very good, Jamie. Welcome as always.
Thank you.
Discussion of stormwater utility program and stormwater review committees. Mr. Wingfield?
Basically, I'm going to turn it over to Justin St. Clair. He's going to give you a brief presentation on recommendations for basically formation of renewal of the committee and kind of review of the utility. Basically, just see where we're at with the program, see how it's functioning, and like I say, basically reformat the committee to review how it's operating.
Okay.
Thank you, Council.
And just point out quickly, this is recommendation of the Water, Sewer, Solid Waste Committee.
So, the main point of this presentation is just to give a brief history of the stormwater utility fee and outline the process by which a stakeholder advisory group will be reestablished to review the utility program, including the actual program itself, the fee structure, and credit allowances. We'll point out a lot of the history of this is available on our website. There's a page. It's really difficult to see down here, but it's there. Basically, search for Stormwater Enterprise Fund, and there's a lot of good information there to go through. Just a quick background about what is a Stormwater Enterprise Fund. Like other urbanized areas in Virginia, the town of Christiansburg is required to proactively keep our stormwater pollution from entering creeks and streams. A lot of state and federal requirements make it necessary for the town to invest in our own stormwater management programs, activities, and subsequent capital projects. Without a dedicated source of funding, meeting these needs will eventually compete with other critical government services as well. The Stormwater Enterprise Fund is used to meet those needs. Other programs exist throughout the Commonwealth that are exceptionally similar, such as the town of Blacksburg, cities of Lynchburg, Roanoke, Richmond, Stanton, and Harrisonburg. The creation of the Enterprise Fund ensures that the revenue collected for this purpose is dedicated to the stormwater-related needs, such that non-dedicated revenues, which would be like property taxes, things like that, compete for other town needs. The funds from the stormwater utility fee can only be used within the enterprise fund. I realize I failed to highlight some of the projects that were recently completed in the past years, and the different funding sources. Those were town branch stream restoration that was funded by the SLAF program that Councilwoman Sachs had mentioned previously about the increase in funding the state's going to do. That's a 50% match. Church Ruby Elliott storm drain improvements, Han Meadow drainage improvements, and North Franklin Street drainage improvements were all 50% matches from VDOT. And the downtown watershed study was a 50% match from DCR. Just another timeline for how the original stakeholder committee was formed to evaluate the program for council approval was in December of 2015. The committee presented a recommendation to council, which included the stormwater rate fee. In 2016, a public information session and open house was held, and then April 2016, the formal recommendations were brought to council, and then in June 2016, it was approved by council for the proposed stormwater fee. More recently, there's been a request that the program be reevaluated. So in light of that, the plan is to form a stakeholder advisory group program, and this is kind of the initial outline for how that review process would operate. Review the reason for implementing the fee in the program, review the funding source options, and revalidate whatever may come of that, as well as establishing the individual property fees, review the use of the funds since it was implemented, review the current fee rate supporting program, and discuss and reconsider the actual fees, the credits that are offered, and how that relates to the town. The reestablishment of the advisory group would consist of these handful of individuals. We would search out 2 residents, 2 small business owners, 2 larger businesses, or at least large impervious area owners. It would include 2 engineering consultants who specialize in this type of work with stormwater programs, town representatives, and of course support from our town attorney as necessary. Here's a proposed timeline that we put together. The advisory group would be formed, I think that's the second meeting in March, and presented for approval. From April to August, there would be the meetings of the advisory group, and then in August, that would be the final recommendation they would propose. Throughout September, there would be work sessions, ordinance reviews, and the public hearing with town council. And then potentially in October, the proposed effective date, that would be when that would come into play. That was kind of short and brief, but try to answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Thank you.
And I guess a quick question is, are we still making the $1,458,000 from the stormwater fee, right? That's part of the budget?
Approximately 1.4 million.
Is that the revenue from the utility fee?
Right now?
The utility fee is 1.3 million. The difference between that and the 1.4 is some of the grants that we received, the grant revenue from those 50/50 matches for the project.
I'd like to ask a question as a follow-up to that. Of the money that, through the program that's raised through the utility fee, that's also leveraged for grant funding. And if we looked at all the improvements that have been made, and I do have a quick statement after that, if we look at all the improvements that have been made to date, what percentage of that, is it basically the money is doubled, or is it more than that? Because I know some projects were more than 50% match. If you had to paint with a 4-inch brush and say roughly, what is it, two 2/3 other people's money and
All the
1/3?
revenue sharing or 50/50?
Correct, and as far as I know, the stormwater projects have all been at least 50% funded.
At least 50%. And a comment from being on council for a number of years, I will say that if those that haven't been on long have not been here after good rainstorms and heard the people lined up here with the problems that have already been addressed with some of the projects that he mentioned. Neighbors of ours, and but we have, if you notice, we don't have as many people coming. Problems are getting addressed. Not only are we required to do this program, even if we weren't, the improvements that have been made already and are on the program to be made are improving our health, safety, and welfare of our community tremendously. And the proof of the pudding's in the tasting, and we don't have the people lined up here after these big rainfall events like we used to. Not that we have we have other improvements, but these monies have been put to good use, and they've been dedicated, and they've been multiplied by the grants. I just want to get that out there, that this has been a very successful program, and it has improved our health, safety, and welfare as a community. Thank you.
To add regarding the SLAF Stormwater Local Assistance Funds, the town actually gets scored higher by having the stormwater utility fee. We get extra bonus points for that, so it puts us at a competitive edge against other localities who are trying to get that money as well.
Nice presentation.
The problem will never be completely solved, but how far along the way do you think we are of some of the things that he was mentioning?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. There's always something that needs improvement. It's like roads; they always need paved.
Well, look at we are currently working on about a lot of the projects in the original 1.8 square miles that we had in town, in the downtown Cambria section, and now we're almost 14.5 square miles. So some of it has been taken care of as it's expanded and built. But there's some areas out there that still need our attention.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
We do appreciate the work.
Thank you.
The next on the agenda is the farmers market policies and procedures, and I would like to suggest we table that until after the work session on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and we're going to have, I think at our council retreat, did we not say we were going to have a separate work session on the farmers market? But that'll be dependent on an acid test next Tuesday. Okay.
So do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion and table it till after the
Second.
Motion
talk on
second.
Tuesday.
What time is that work session?
The committee had asked for 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Does that work for us to council?
6 o'clock
Were you
Tuesday.
going to
Voting
ask
on
us later?
C.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm going to go.
Are we
Okay.
voting on the stormwater one
I
then?
have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
To table.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop, Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And we kept it here for a long time.
Yeah.
We need to look at this thing a little bit, maybe we can adjust it. We have a request from Ann Sandbrook for a leave of absence from the Planning Commission from April 1 to July 3, 2020 for work and educational commitments. Ann has been a member of this Planning Commission for 4 or 5 years?
3 years.
3 years. And has been very diligent in her attendance and very, very proactive and very informative on the things. So do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
As long as she promises to come back.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the meetings I've attended, you've done we have a great planning commission, but you've done very well.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments?
I guess my question will be done 2 people, right? Because it will be you and there is somebody else that's wanting to requesting some time too, right?
We haven't
Is
got-
that-
I haven't,
We haven't gotten that.
I'm not aware of another member who's
so at this point.
not currently, no.
What's our number right now?
So we have 10.
Oh, that's great.
With Ann out, we'd be down to 9 for
Yeah,
about
that's
Still a
Very
reasonable
good.
work.
Still good number.
And we've had as few as 5.
Yeah.
So,
What you don't want. My opinion.
well, no, I'm just
Madam
saying.
Clerk, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
All right.
Councilwoman Sacks.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye, and thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
And hanging in there.
Thank you very much. We'll have to do a better job of agenda management, aren't I? Placing things around the other way. Staff reports, town manager.
Have 3 public hearings to schedule, and I guess I'll give you an update on Magnolia Point. That is one of the requests. That's Robert Freyland's rezoning request. Staff had requested that he do basically a signal warrant analysis for his development, and it does not meet the signal warrant requirements. Basically, we got his data and reviewed it ourselves. We're comfortable with that. We did suggest adding a right turn lane from New Village Drive to the development plans, just basically to help facilitate potential signal at one point if needed. That and basically to kind of help accommodate traffic leaving the subdivision. And he is agreeable to that. We did get an opinion from our attorneys that it does not require a public hearing. It's simply an amendment to the development drawing, basically the master plan. If he simply changes basically the reference to that drawing in his proper statement, the date of the drawing. So he does plan on making a revised drawing and basically proper statement. We're going to have another public hearing. He is agreeable to it. Basically give the public a chance to comment. We suggest that we schedule the public hearing for the rezoning and conditional use permit, and that's from agricultural to R3 multifamily residential, and a conditional use permit for planned housing development on March 24th.
Does this include a connection over to Walters Drive?
It does not.
Okay,
Although
thank
it
you.
would include, I guess, potential stub out for it.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to schedule a public hearing on April 24th for a rezoning request from Montgomery County School Board for property at 208 College Street. This is the middle school property. The request is to rezone it from R2 two-family residential to D3 general business. Also, a request for conditional use permit contingent on the rezoning for the Montgomery County School Board for 208 College Street. And this is for a commercial garage, maintenance shop, and contractor storage yard in the B3 district. And we suggest both of those on April 14th, if that's agreeable.
April 24th,
April 14th.
14th, very
So let
good.
me get this straight. Is the county selling those lots, or what's going on with that?
But they want to relocate the school bus garage, bus facility to that property. And basically, we recognize the zoning is basically, school is allowed in the zoning, but the maintenance facility would require rezoning and a conditional use permit.
Okay, got it.
And
And
I
that
think
would be all part of one same location there, right? That's what they want to try to do, don't they? They want to try to condense it all to just one location.
Correct.
And I think that would free up the current property in Cambria that would make it so much more of a marketable facility over there, which is one of our goals.
Good point.
I think they plan to liquidate it, right, Jamie? Yeah.
And if I may say, it won't be to work on any other type of facility, just the buses of the school.
Yeah.
It's not, even though it's commercial, it's not, we're not gonna like take on any.
You're not gonna take Abbott freight
No,
lines?
no,
and
And
also, I
just
believe,
for Montgomery County school buses
Sure.
and our vehicles that we service. It's not to make money, it's completely in-house.
so you currently have 75 people working up there now, is that correct, in the
Probably so,
departments and
yes,
stuff?
Yes,
So,
trying to get it all under one roof, and it's just so much easier to work together and facilitate everything together, being in one facility.
That's fine.
Randy, you got another one?
Yes, as mentioned, we'd like to schedule a work session for farmers market and budget amendment, 6 o'clock on March 3rd, if that's agreeable.
Yes.
Also, we're suggesting a work session on flow control on March 10th, before the next council meeting, or prior to the next council meeting. And March 17th, work session on community support applications.
And then it's in addition to the other ones we've been looking at.
Actually, probably like an hour and a half of flow control if we could.
So that's the night of the meeting?
Yes.
So you're saying 5 o'clock, 5:30?
5:30, could have the work session following the meeting if we have a light agenda.
No, we'll do that.
Let's get it out of the way first.
Yeah.
And we will try to keep the agenda light.
Can I leave it to I mean, I'm gonna ask council, for the flow control, do you think you need further follow-up
I
on
don't.
the 10th? From what was presented tonight, what Alan's going to present, because they provided us a lot of information.
Do we have a recommendation from your committee? That's what I want to know. Huh? So then we do need a work session.
Okay.
If the committee made a recommendation, I would support that recommendation. If there's not a unified recommendation, then we need to talk about it, because I would like some more details.
Randy, would you go those times again? Yeah, I got it on the 3rd,
March
at 6
3rd,
o'clock.
6 o'clock. March 10th, 5:30, if that works for you.
Okay.
March 7th, 6 o'clock, if that's agreeable.
7th or 17th?
17th, March 17th.
And it's at what time?
6 o'clock, if that's agreeable.
Somebody will be buying some damn lunch.
How are we gonna advertise for the stormwater control committee? Are we going to have something on the website? Can you explain that to me?
Actually, I was going to ask you that. How would you like us to solicit that, the membership for that committee? Would you like us to advertise? Would you like us to contact people who were on the committee prior? Would you?
I would start with
Would you make a suggestion? Suggestions for the committees?
Committee recommendation.
I'd like to recommend that we go ahead and make it public and take applications from those interested, but make it very clear how many in each category that we're going to end up wanting, you know, to make sure it's balanced.
Do we have a ability to send a message to all the water bill people that are business owners? Just to send it like as a memo, or is that just when you print out the bills, is all gonna show up as a?
We do our notifications of the bills through an insert, and I think it would go to everybody if we did an insert.
If it's an insert, it goes to everybody, you can't segregate out. It all goes as one file, so you can't really segregate out the business customers from the residential. So it would just go in all water bills.
What's the cost on that?
Usually a third buck slip is usually $500-600.
Can we just advertise it online
Yep.
and Facebook, please?
We're gonna go through social media, public media, is that what?
I think if.
In addition,
Yeah, I mean,
we're not gonna do
the-
the insert, right?
No, not the insert, that's too much money.
So basically,
We're trying to save money on the
advertise and bring
stormwater
back
fees.
applicants to
We don't
council.
increase them.
Do what?
Advertise and bring back applicants to council.
Yeah,
What I'm hearing?
then maybe we'll appoint a committee off of the water sewer to
Would
make the
you-
selections.
Actually, I was kind of planning on having a water sewer committee meeting between now and then. Would you want to basically refer it back to the committee?
I'd like to do it this, I'm sorry.
Well, I would like to see this thing go out, and I would like a very short window, not open today, closed tomorrow, but I would like, for, 5 to 7 days, so at least you can start getting some activity prior to you all meeting to discuss it. At least have a general idea.
And I would recommend that this be, the group is selected by the committee, the Stormwater Committee, and any council member that would like to participate in that particular selection.
I would like to be, since I'm a
Well,
owner.
I'm just throwing that out, if other people, I'm just one person. I guess I don't want the whole council to get involved with who we're gonna pick.
So would you're interested in being on the selection committee that's what you're saying?
Yes, I'm a business owner that owns lots of commercial.
But you're saying that you want to be considered to be
I
on
would
that?
like to be considered, yes, sir.
For the selection committee or to be on the study committee?
Well, isn't that the same department? It's
Yeah.
two committees?
The study committee is not gonna include council members.
Right.
That's by, I think that's what we're talking about. It's like it was before, it's putting it to the streets, and then, but whoever wants to select that, I'm just one person, but I would rather see the group that recommended that we revisit this be in charge of that. Plus, if there's any other council members that want to participate with that, for that.
Well, I really, this is such a hot topic. I don't see why we can't take applications and interview them as a council, just like we do our planning commission or I think this is an important issue.
I would think so, but, you know, you have to look at the overall picture. We've got a budget to.
Right, I'm looking.
We're gonna be
at the
meeting the heck
next
out of the budget.
Look at
So
these
if you
meetings.
wanna delay this until in June or July, and we have the budget in place, maybe that's a better time. But, I mean, we've got 6, 8, 9 meetings and finance committee meetings and work sessions on the budget between now and the end of May.
Well, the timeline's not going to have anything back to us until the end of the year anyway, which is into the new fiscal year for us. So if we delay it until June, it's just going to be a few months later into the next fiscal year.
Correct.
So it's delaying it, you're saying delaying it's not an issue?
Well, delaying it until June.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, delaying it till we get through the budget.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
I
that.
think that's a good idea.
I think that's very wise.
But I think council needs to weigh in on how you want to, you either are agreeing for Ms. Sachs and myself to pick your committee. I would rather, since this is a hot topic, this is an issue, is for council, these members on the stormwater committee be appointed by council.
It'll have more credit, or have more impetus with that, so I'll agree with that, yeah. Especially if we're delaying it.
And I'm not 100% certain. I think that depending on the number of applications we get, I think that we can do a screening and a process of elimination before we get to a final round of 4 residents and 6 businesses, so on and so forth. I think we can screen it down to a point. Okay. So so is this meeting with, so you're still gonna come on the 17th?
I'll try to work that out between the committee and try to schedule it. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same night as the council meeting. Committee meeting doesn't.
So Justin, you can slide your program back a few months.
Congrats.
So we will look to adjust the proposed timeline.
Right. Just take the same thing and just move it to the starting.
And I also think it would be nice, just not to post it, but it would be nice to know who was on that previous committee. I mean, because
It was impressive. I forget who it was.
I can't either, but I know, and I think, what a long time.
Is it on the webpage?
That I don't know. I don't think the selection, not the selection committee, excuse me, but the committee was posted on the website.
I don't think that's listed.
It included people that were going to be impacted significantly. I remember that.
What?
The only drawback that I had a concern is there was no smaller business
Yeah,
representative.
and that's fine, yeah.
Well, this does have small business, that's what it's
It
called.
does now, yeah. It didn't before.
All right, very good. Anything else, Randy? Do we need to move on any of this stuff?
Well, actually, we're talking about budget, and I'll just, I guess, mention budget schedule coming up.
If you want to start on the ground.
Basically, we are talking about schedule for budget, and actually Andrew's going to be bringing sheets. It's pretty aggressive schedule for discussions. Starting dates, February 20, March 12th, we're talking Finance Committee meeting, 12th or 13th, and March 19th or 20th again for Finance Committee meetings. But dates in particular, council interest. These are the sheets coming around to.
These upgraded from last night?
Yes, these were updated from last night. Just want to get this in front of you. If this schedule is too aggressive, if you can't make some of these meetings, if you have a conflict, maybe let me know as soon as possible and we'll try to reschedule.
I guess the only problem I have is community support discussion. I still have not received any of the applications. I would like to review the applications so I can make a right decision.
We'll have that to you very soon.
Hopefully before I have to vote in.
I
and make
would
a-
say we probably will. And they're always available to stop, if you want to stop by and look at them. Okay.
Can I say something on that?
Certainly.
Community support, it's going to be more than who we're supporting this year. There was some desire from council in the years past to make an adjustment to the grant application. Staff even has some ideas because it can, it's something I helped put together. So you guys are going to have to weigh in on what you either want, either make it a little bit more difficult or, like a sundown clause or a limit and things like that. So those are going to be expected to be discussed on the 17th as well.
On this community support, now, I'm not sure if I did it the right way. Instead of going yes or no, I went down.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about it on
We're going to talk about it on the 17th. We're not going to vote until after the 17th, Val.
I think we said everybody's were supposed to be in by the 9th.
Ninth.
That's what my
Yeah.
question really was.
I think we've had enough discussion yesterday in that I think there's a lot
Did you turn it in?
about what we want to do.
Then we're
I think
good.
it's a good idea for maybe everybody to get them filled out and form your thoughts and ideas about it. But I think we're kind of opening the door to
So,
discussion.
and I think this year, as we discussed, it is yes or no. There is not a, cut you from 3 to 2. It's a dollar figure, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, the way we've been directed to it in the past has been either an upvote or a downvote. It's yes or it's no. You can put notes over to the side that maybe you'd fund it if it was a little less, that you're willing to share with the other council members when we have discussion that might change how that comes down. But the way the tallies were taken in the past is an up or down vote, yes or no, for what they requested based on the applications submitted.
And then when we get to the discussion on the 17th, you're not locked into your vote, so to speak. That's a sort of a bellwether, a sort of an initial test, and then we get in. That's when we make our final. On the 17th is when we'll, because there'll be some people where 3 and 3 or 2 and 4, and it's okay to change your mind until the 17th, and that's when we make our. Just for new, if you haven't been through the process, Ms. Hicks has not been through the process, but just because you vote before March 7th or 9th or whatever, doesn't mean you can't change your mind on the 17th.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, anything else? From you?
I'd like to schedule a work session on FOIA and COIA with the town attorney at some point. March 24th council meeting work for that.
Why in the world can't we put that off?
Yeah, I mean, let's get the budget done, guys.
Actually, can it be part of the regular regular agenda?
Well,
I think to do it right, I don't think we can do it in part of an agenda.
Probably talking an hour.
I would,
this summer, what's wrong with this summer?
well,
I mean-
why don't we go down to Reed's place and fish? And let them do it.
Is there a reason that we can't wait till summer?
Part of the reason I wanted to do this, we got a new council member,
Oh, I see.
just simply.
Well, you've had training or not? No, for FOIA, COIA?
I did. So
One
what are we
thing-
talking about again? I'm sorry.
We're open to offering some training, both to council and to staff. Maybe we schedule something with staff and we welcome council to attend if they would like to, if you don't feel like we need to address that. Now, we're looking at FOIA, COIA, proffers, and social media. So if there's other topics you think we should address, let Randy know and I'll coordinate with Randy when we do it.
Should we do
I
it
think
in
we
July?
wanna do-
Is that an issue?
Whatever you all want to do it,
I
we
would-
could do a session for staff and a session for council later on.
I mean, I think we'd like to hear from you, but it looks to me like we're going.
That's what I want to get through.
No,
first.
Yeah,
Those are
we're
each
gonna
meeting.
be awful good friends for the next 2 months, guys, so.
Yeah.
And not that that's a bad thing, for the most part.
Can we estimate for June sometime if we adopt the budget?
When we adopt the
I
budget,
did
we'll
want
make it from
to ask
Wait.
Reed to be prepared to answer any questions in regards to social media posting. I know that's been a little bit of a topic. As far as what constitutes a public page, if you'd like to hear that now, or ask any
Let's
questions.
hear it, Jim, unless you guys want to.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, anything else, Randy?
That's it.
Mr. Broughton, anything from your group?
Nothing else. If you have any questions about any of those issues, just let Randy know and we'll address
Let
them.
Randy know, and he'll Any other staff present that has anything? Council reports? Sacks?
Well, we talked mostly about the central business and the wastewater, so those are covered. But I did just want to mention that last night there was a rally meeting, and it was very exciting. We're slowly pulling in who's going to do what task and being a little bit more defined. And what I want to do more than anything is just get awareness out there. This is a community project. Everybody is welcome. So please check out Facebook, social media, go to my page, anywhere. We'll make sure that we post all of the information on that meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Hopper?
Well, you know, this is the second year in a row the wrestling team did not win the state championship, but they came in second place in the state. And to show you that the content of the quality of the wrestlers on the team, 2 of the seniors on the Christopher High School wrestling team will be wrestling for Virginia Tech next year. So they still got an outstanding team, and their day is going to come back.
Thank you. Starks?
At council's request, Michael St. Jean from the VT Montgomery Executive Airport will be here on March 24th for a presentation that will not exceed 10 minutes, I assure you.
Very good, thank you.
I would like to request for him to give us some numbers for Christiansburg, please, of residents that use the Virginia Tech Airport, please.
We can do that.
I've asked him if he can give you direct numbers as far as like number of people flying. He said he really couldn't give you that. He said he could give you the number of planes that are housed from people that live in Christiansburg.
Right.
But that's, as far as.
And industries that employ our residents that fly in and out of there.
Yes, things like that, but he can't give you the exact number of people that do flying in and out from Christiansburg.
I was at the airport yesterday. We actually had a lot of meetings over there, and we're going to have even more here in the future, but I've seen what his presentation includes, and I think it's going to be very impressive.
You're the one using the airport now, huh?
Say again?
Yeah.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry, your comments.
What?
I think you'll be impressed with the tonnage and the passengers and the
Show up.
service they offer.
Is he done?
Yeah, I'm done. Sorry. Thank you.
No, we mentioned the Finance Committee report earlier.
Mr. Bishop?
I'm done.
You're done. Ms. Hicks?
I'm good.
Very good. I will say that not only, I know that the wrestling team had quite a bit of success as far as the runner-up and some of their individuals, but I think the boys and girls indoor state did very well. Maybe won it. I'm not sure.
They won regions,
They
right?
won a region, so there's a lot of stuff going on, and as these things progress, Scoop, will you keep us informed on who's doing what? Because we will probably have a recommendation night, a recognition night.
I think I forgot to tell you, there's a reception tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon.
5 o'clock at the Aquatic Center. They're going to, all the kids, the swimmers, and there's about 7 different localities that train at the Aquatic Center. They're kind of having a congratulatory thing from starts at 5.
Mr. Mayor, I have a quick just comment. I know when we're talking about helping businesses and for them to come to the area, there were several articles that I was reading today in the newspapers
That's all.
talking about, Ronald, Salem, and then Bradford, where some of those, the towns and cities are actually wanting to work with new businesses coming into the town, and the way they're helping them is by waiving fees as far as.
I gave that article to Andrew, and I think he gave it to, got it to Randy, but I've got a copy I can submit. If you didn't see it, it was on page 3, maybe of the Virginia section of the Roanoke Times.
Yeah, it was a really good article.
I saw that. It was really interesting, and it leads a lot of thought. And it does, and it's I talked to someone within the town and said, this is something we really need to do. Now, I'm not sure we can give away the dollar figures and then hotels $500,000 and this type of stuff, but on a small business. Thank you. Any other business to come before council? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you for the longevity of your support.
Everybody. Thank you.